really trying to carry the excitement into spring ball. But now we're back and building. The biggest thing right now is investing into these players, building the culture, establishing the culture. But we had our first mat drill today, which is a hard early morning rise, grinded out, culture building, team building opportunity. Thought it went really well. Looking forward to more of those. Guys are doing a good job being proactive in the building and learning new offense, new defense. Coaches are doing a great job communicating with them and finding opportunities to get outside the building and establish those relationships, which has been great. But now we're in a hard build over the next February and through spring ball to then look up and see how we did coming out of spring ball. First practice will be March 11th, and our spring game will conclude this spring April 19th. That's Sunday. So looking forward to the process and frankly fully open for questions and can drive the direction we need to go.
Could you speak about the new world in which you live now? 58 new players,
Yep.
4 returning starters, one of them being a kicker. We're getting used to this kind of thing.
Yeah, 58 new players. I think that it says a lot about the guys that chose to be here and how much it means to them. The retention was awesome, and I think that that's really important. Hopefully, year in and year out, that retention number continues to grow, and you can build a really good foundation of who we are at USF. I think that really is really important in the long run. I think that across college football, frankly, the ones that have that core, the ones that have the nucleus that's been there for a while, really translates to consistency and frankly more wins. I think seniority is important. I know we have a very senior team. I want to say 27 guys are either graduated or seniors, which is a good sign. You always want more and more of those guys, but understand that that's the turnover rate then if you have too many of those guys. But no, it is different. I think that through our process in the acquisition of players, we really had a mold of the type of young man and family we were looking for. And that sparked a lot of hard conversations in those meetings. Why USF? Why here? Why didn't it work potentially at the other place? And to have those hard conversations, I think, was alarming for some. But the ones that really want to be here for the right reasons, they still chose here. And so that was the biggest emphasis for us, was not necessarily the best players, but the right players in building this. It's our job to maximize the athletes, both as people and as players. But if you don't get the right guys mentally and what they're looking for, it makes it really hard. It makes a lot of really good coaches bad coaches pretty quick. So we put a hard emphasis on trying to find the best you can in the speed dating world of the right type of guys.
What was kind of the approach you took in rebuilding the quarterback room in particular?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely always a point of emphasis. I would say that, for 30,000-foot view, you'd like some guys. One, you want to be able to bring in some guys that want to compete. If you're a guy that's coming in, oh, I'm this, I'm that, and they think it's being handed to them, that's not healthy. I think so. Not only in the quarterback room, but really all rooms. I mean, to say there's not a blank slate or a great opportunity for everybody is wrong. So, quarterback especially, wanted to find at least two or three guys that we're going to go out there and compete for the spot. Ideally, you'd love some guys to have some eligibility after the first year. So you wanted to find some guys with maybe multiple years on their still available to them. It wasn't a huge piece. Ultimately, if it was the guy that we wanted in the room and he was willing to compete and only had 1 year left, then so be it. But for us, it was two things: guys that wanted to compete. Two, trying to find some guys with some years left, and then from there, building it out to where maybe a youthful guy, maybe a young quarterback from high school that we were trying to maybe did not work out, but to develop the depth and the youth, if you will, the development side of it was kind of the thought. And I think for the most part, I'm really excited about that room. Initially, again, I don't like the hype, so. It was really good coming off the portal and everyone, no, these guys are great, these guys are great. No, but they're really competing, and they're doing a great job on the field right now. And they're showing toughness, they're showing accountability, they're showing relentlessness to learn the offense. And those are the things that fired me up even more. So there was excitement coming out of that portal window, but they're reconfirming that as we go forward through winter conditioning.
And Coach, while you're recruiting, you're also building a staff.
Sure.
Too. And if you could talk about how those pieces came together and how you feel about it.
Yeah, I feel great about it. Frankly, the more we're together, the more and more I'm like, all right, did a good job, right? We're pretty good. Now, ultimately, we're judged on how the players do, right? So we own all their mistakes. If they make a mistake, it's really on the coaching staff. So it's early in that process. That being said, they're working hard. They're communicating. I'm asking them to build relationships, and I think they're doing that at a pretty good click. Feel really good about some of the support staff as well, having former players in that room. I really was glad. Miles White is awesome. From a receiver standpoint, and I'm speaking on that because that's part of my background. Does a great job, but then to add in, KJ Hill, I coached at Ohio State, is awesome just from a resource standpoint. To bring Randy Starks back from being a two-time Pro Bowler in Miami with me as a D-line assistant. I mean, just to add that value with Keith and Coach Jones in that room. To keep adding those kind of guys is really important, and we'll try to do that for the longevity while I'm here at USF. I think that the experience of players, again, the right players, just because you made the tackles doesn't mean you can teach the tackles, right? So, but we always try to add that piece of former player for the relationship side of players, and then just the understanding of what it's like to go through that stuff. But coaching staff-wise, really excited about it. Obviously, offensively, with Coach Beck, he was at Ohio State before I arrived back there. A lot of our terminology is similar, offensive structure-wise. He got an opportunity to work along with my brother, Mike Hartline, who's the quarterback coach, played at Kentucky. He was a great quarterback there, did a really good job with the freshman quarterback that then did leave Kentucky this past year. He was essentially the quarterback coach in that room, and really excited about Elijah Brooks coming from Virginia Tech. People spoke very highly of him, especially schematically and how he commands his room. So really excited about that. And then some guys that I got an opportunity to work with at Ohio State. And Sean Binks, tight ends coach, and Mike Seleni, run game coordinator and O-line coach. Really smart. Obviously, Sean spent time with Chip Kelly at the Raiders this past year, and Mike Seleni was the UNLV coach, O-line coach out there. They had a great year, so felt really good about that. I think Josh Aldridge is the best coordinator, one of the best coordinators in the country, in my mind. Was the top coordinator definitely last year in our conference. I think his expertise and exposure to great players is really important to me. How he commands the room and his expectations of his staff stood out to me heavily. Loved being able to keep James Rowe here as well. People think very highly of him. Super excited to have Danny Verpel come back. I knew I liked him in the interview. I didn't realize how much everyone else liked him until after the fact. Man, he's a great coach. People were blowing me up. I was like, wow, all right. So, and that's been confirmed week in and week out so far. Keith Jones did a great job with the D-line. Chad Kramer's always done a really good job. Glad we were able to retain him, both special teams coordinator and outside backers, which will be a big part of it. Antoine Robinson, Wheezy, will handle our stars. With the, we really have a special role for them, those nickel players. He's done a really good job connecting with the players and having high expectations, so excited about him. So in all, for a long-winded answer, really excited about our staff, but it's just the start. So I can answer that question probably a little better post-spring.
How would you describe what Tim Beck will want to do offensively? What's his forte?
Yeah, I think that, he's been a guy that pro style, very similar to how he did things at Ohio State. I think ultimately what we do is predicated on our players. We're gonna feed into them. Whatever they're good at is what we're gonna be good at. If frankly, if we have some great tight ends, then we're gonna be in more 12 personnel. Like whoever the best players being on the field is what's most important. We want to play complementary football, so we will use tempo as an asset for us, but we want to make sure we're not putting our defense in harm's way, frankly. As far as offensive structure, we'll do it all. Frankly, it's a pro-style mentality with some spread in it. I don't even know all that means. All that means is we're going to do a good job schematically, being hat for hat, being accounted for, being schematically sound, and then we're going to play to the strengths of our players. So, obviously, I have a pretty good feel of where I was coming from. He was very similar where he was at, but ultimately what our running backs do well, our O-line does well, what our quarterback does the best is ultimately what we will do. So we'll do a good job of huddling, not huddling, speed breaking, or tempo, any of those things to just keep that part of our toolbox.
Coach, what has just your transition been like over the past couple of months now?
Yeah, I think for me, It's been, pretty good. Frankly, I'm surrounded by a lot of really good people. I think the focus was doing a good job with the staff. I think that, I guess you would say, in my opinion, again, now the CEO of football, right, and more of a CEO thought process than being a position coach or even a coordinator. I want to do a good job of filling my blind spots. I'm going to do a good job of recognizing what I didn't do well or what I think I lack and make sure I have the support behind me. I think that's what great CEOs do. And so, in my opinion, I think I did a great job surrounding myself with elite coaches. I think that we did a great job building a great recruiting staff. And I'm very happy with where we're at. Again, we still have to execute at a very high level. We have not done that yet, but that's been my focus. And then quickly changing into finding the right type of players. I think that the coaching staff did a great job evaluating the film and brought in really good players that had the opportunity potentially to be here. But that process of coming in, meeting with the coaching staff, meeting with AT, our strength coach, meeting with myself, there were guys that we felt like were not fits, and that was really important. So I wanted to make sure we were holding right by the right type of young men that were here, that we did a great job of that. And so that's been my focus. Now shifting, I think that my biggest focus is, clearly outlining, who are we, both as people and then who we're going to be as football players, and then making sure we're operating that way day in, day out, and doing a great job holding people accountable, building our culture, establishing our culture, and then hopefully building some leaders that can take it over. We know the best teams are the ones that are player ran. So that's pretty hard when you have so many new guys in the building. But again, I go back on, I'd like to think we have the right guys in the building. They ultimately have to show us that. But it's been good, frankly. I think right now it's getting better because we're talking more ball than ever. It's more about football. It's more about training than it is other things. And we got a good base that is being built. So now I'm more in my comfort zone than maybe just, getting the pieces put together 4 weeks ago.
You mentioned earlier it's like speed dating, right?
Yeah.
Bringing 41 new players. How difficult is it
Yep.
for you and your staff to get a gauge of who these guys are from a football standpoint and a cultural standpoint when you're talking to them for a very limited amount of time?
Yeah, it's not a perfect system, right? I mean, ultimately, 15 guys are walking in, 15 guys are walking out. The next 15 guys are walking in literally behind them. They're like shaking hands in the hallway, So I think the biggest thing we could do was, have hard conversations. We were trying to do a good job watching film. We were not in the world of accommodating. So, whether that be, figuring out, compensation, whether you're figuring out, am I playing? Am I guaranteed a roster, a starting spot? Like we're not doing that. So any of those guys that wanted this or wanted that, that wasn't the conversation. And I think we were very stern with it's about our team, not about the players that are coming in. And frankly, what I told everyone that came in, let's not kid ourselves, myself included. There were still 40, 50 guys in that team room. This is their home. Right? They were here. They've sweat, they've bled. They've invested in this building. We have not. We are not in a position of walking in here, whether we're new players or a new coaching staff or a new head coach, and thinking that this is now my house. It is not my house. It is his house, their house. It's my job to earn their respect. It's my job for the new players to earn their respect. If we can have that thought process and that accountability, I think that in the end, we'll be where we want to be. So my question to them, my request to the new players was make sure you come in, you keep your mouth shut, and you make sure we do a great job earning their respect, because the rest takes care of itself if we do that. I know that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to hold them to a higher standard. I'm trying to elevate each department. But from the fact that I'm trying to invest in them, not just demand their respect, if that makes sense. So that was part of the conversations we had. But with those hard conversations, I think it helped us to identify the right guys. Frankly, you see a lot of the faces of the parents and the kids. We weren't here to recruit per se. We were trying to be transparent of who we're going to be and let them pick us. We weren't picking them, if that makes sense. So we were not trying to accommodate, overly over the top.
Coach, when you talk about culture,
Yep.
you're coming into a program that's on the rise, not on the decline. Is it harder or easier to build a culture to a winning program or a losing program?
Well, I would say that it's based on the people. And I think more than half your roster just changed. So the vast majority, you know, like culture is not logos. Culture is not buildings and pretty paint. Like, so frankly, we haven't done anything. I mean, to establish that we are this or we are that, we haven't done anything yet. So we are establishing who we are, frankly. I think we have a lot of excitement. I think there's a lot of guys that want to be here for the right reasons. I think there's a lot of guys that believe in our coaching staff. There's a lot of coaches that believe in our players. So we have an opportunity to build something great. Yes, there's momentum at USF. There's no doubt. But, you know, when you have it, you got to keep it. And if you don't got it, you got to go get it. That's what momentum's all about. So, you know, frankly, we're in the world of understanding what they were able to accomplish last year, understanding that a lot of those players are not here anymore. But we have a lot of pride that in our history, we want to do a great job, you know, establishing that consistency year in and year out. And I think that at times, this is probably, I viewed this as a place that maybe lacked consistency. And then I think the consistency level really dictates who you are, right? I mean, it's not that you do show up, it's how often you show up. And then whether you're on time and whether you have great energy. I mean, the frequency is really the defining piece for all great programs. As people, as teams, as universities, frankly. It's like, why is so-and-so a great university? Just week in, year in and year out, they just keep, you know, having a certain standard. So I think that you're right. I think there's definitely momentum. I think we're on the climb. But to be anywhere near we want to be consistently wise, I think we're not close. And so that's what we're trying to attain.
Regarding the wide receiver position, that's another one where you had a lot of production come out and a lot of guys come in. Talk about how you're feeling about that position heading into the spring.
I think we have a lot of ability. I think that, you know, whether we're able to maximize that ability, we'll come to find out. Still don't know them, you know, cold on what they're best at. I mean, ultimately, whatever they're best at is how we're going to try to run certain routes or certain concepts. But it'll all come down to the quarterback. I mean, the receiver is the end piece of everything. In my opinion, receivers are a trickle effect. So if you want better O-linemen, get better receivers because they get open faster and they catch the ball. The ball comes out of the quarterback's hand faster. So if you want a bad O-lineman, have bad receivers that can't get open, the quarterback's going to hold the ball and there's going to be more sacks. So our responsibility to the offense is to make sure that we make everyone better around us, right? Ball's in our vicinity, we catch it for the quarterback. We're open on time, so the quarterback can get rid of the ball, and now the O-line is better. That's our mentality. So that is also coupled with the offense doing a great job or schematically doing a great job on playing into what guys do best, right? I mean, if guys aren't good at things, let's not ask them to do certain things. But we'll have a good plan there. I'm excited about the group. I think they're working hard. Can't say we know them, you know, cold yet on how they're going to operate, and I'm going to have high expectations when it comes to the receivers. So.
If you don't mind me asking you a somewhat off-topic question, you have Jackson Smith and Jacob playing in the Super Bowl this
Yep.
Sunday. A guy that you obviously coached at Ohio State. How cool is that for you to be able to see him play on the biggest stage? And is that something that maybe when you're talking to a wide receiver, whether it's in the portal or on the high school trail, like, hey, you're a receiver, you come catch him, you play in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, you know, Jack's, I think I'm most happy with, like, this. He came out he was at a Washington game when we played up there last year, and I got to see him then, and just his growth as a person. Like, he's really, really, you know, in more into his faith. It's just like his communication skills, where his mindset is, as far as being a true pro, it's just awesome. Not that he wasn't before, but he's just maturing and growing. When you see that, that's when you know there's a good chance that it can last for a long time. When guys are being very productive and they're still kind of immature, it's only a matter of time before it drops off. So that was probably what I was most, you know, happy about. Obviously, he's doing great. His brother, his dad, Mata, and Jamie, his mom. I mean, everyone's excited, and frankly, he's built for it. He's the biggest stage of football is where he should be, and he would have won, you know, rookie MVP if he just would have thrown the ball as a rookie, but they didn't. So, but no, he's a special cat.
On your returning starters,
Yep.
Thomas Schrader, Tavin Ward, and this is often confusing in the COVID world, in the modern world.
Yep.
How'd they get back?
So we had some injuries that we had some waivers for, and they got approved. So again, ultimately, I think you just always try to do right by the young men. I mean, in the end, if they have an opportunity to potentially get a year back to maximize their career, you do that. We had guys that we got waivers approved for that ended up leaving, but it's not about that. It's about doing what's right by the men, the young men, and karma's good, karma's real, and just do right by them, and it'll come full circle. I can't tell you exactly the ins and outs and why this guy isn't or this guy is, but we're glad they're back.
From the enormity of the football standpoint and the transition in your career,
Yep.
who have you leaned on?
It's a good question. I would say that, heavily the ones that I directly coached under, Coach Meyer has been a huge part for me, even to this day. Coach Ryan Day, a huge part, even to this day. Some of my peers that even I coached alongside was a big part of it. And, I think that, for me, I try to reference guys when I wish I could go back and be in Jim Trustle's staff meeting, or be in Tony Sperano's staff meeting, or Joe Philbin. I mean, Joe Philbin was with us at Ohio State, so I was able to kind of pick his brain a little bit. I got some good friends that are, so when I was in Miami, Ben Johnson was our QC, Zach Taylor was our quarterback coach, Dan Campbell was our tight ends coach, Coach Bowles was there. Trying to think, Bill Laser, Brian Dayball, Mike Sherman, they were all in Miami at the time when I was playing. So I've leaned on those guys. I still stay in touch with a lot of, with Jeff Ireland in New Orleans. So I think the biggest thing is just using those as reference points. Really, I would say philosophically, that's probably what I did the most. And other than that, just staying plugged in with where my feet are and not getting too extended, but those are probably some of the guys I've leaned on the most. Yep.
Coach, when you're bringing in a recruiter, trying to get somebody into the portal,
Yep.
you see what Indiana's done the last 2 years, and you can just go, hey guys, this isn't a dream. It can happen with the right guys. How much of that do you throw out?
The right guys, and I don't like to always reference other teams per se, but there is examples out there, and frankly, whether you're an elite player and you're trying to figure out how to do it, there's probably opportunities to read about ones that did. And can't say enough about Indiana and what they've done. It really has changed the game. I don't know. I mean, we're in it right now, but 10, 20, 30 years from now, unless it becomes normal, one of the most special stories, in sports history, in my opinion. So I have a lot of credit, give a lot of credit to those guys. They definitely invested in the right guys, not necessarily the best guys. And they became experts at their scheme. They became experts at what they did, and they were able to plug certain spots just as needed. Not necessarily living per se in a transfer world. Have great culture. Have a lot of respect for how they operated, and they are definitely an example moving forward. Again, easy to point out, almost impossible to recreate, but to have that opportunity to use them as an example is a huge blessing.
What qualities did you see in Antonio Turner, Coach AT, that you knew that you wanted him to be the leader?
Yeah. So at the previous school, we did a good job having what do I want to call them? Not interns, but we had I'm trying to look at the right word. We had a strength and conditioning coach that worked with each position group, right? A liaison. All right, that's what I'm looking for. We had a liaison. So AT was with the wideouts for 2-3 years. He managed all of their, live times and being with them and recovery and everything. So we spent a lot of time together just communicating about the players. I love, the kinesthetic sports science, movement abilities. I love how bodies move and how you maximize them, and how some guys are different than others. And AT, we always had that good conversation. I think that watching him work in the weight room and the accountability he had, that was really, really good. I think over time we built a relationship that I knew he could hold me accountable and I could hold him accountable. That's really, really important. Ultimately, the strength room, the strength staff, and then special teams is the best reflection of your culture and what you stand for and how you operate. The strength coach and his staff has the most impact probably of anybody on any team. And I think that there was an opportunity to maximize that. The numbers that have already changed over the last 4 weeks is astounding. And that was a big part of it. I think, frankly, humbly to say that to the last piece was Mick Marotti. To meet with Mick Marotti, he is known as the best strength coach in the country. At Ohio State, been there for a long time, been with other people for a long time. When he gave him the stamp, I was like, all right, I know we have an opportunity here. So Again, he took it as an opportunity. Him and Tori are in a great spot, and he looks forward to growing here and then growing in the next spot too. So AT was the perfect guy for the task.
You mentioned
Coach
a couple.
Go ahead.
You mentioned a couple times.
Yes.
Best guys versus right guys.
Yep.
How would you define the difference for fans that just want to see a bunch of 4 and 5 star?
Yeah. I think that's the hardest thing, right? I think that I explained it to these guys, and I still do, and to this day, I had an opportunity to play with a lot of really good players, and we had a lot of different attributes, right? I mean, speed, size, height, weight, and there was no correlation between necessarily, height, size, weight to being a great player, right? I mean, it was kind of a check the box mathematically. As long as you could have enough ability, that was it. But your mental makeup and how you're wired is the closest thing to increasing your odds of success across the board. That's the closest thing elite players have in common, in my opinion. So, for us, it's kind of that. It's the conversations with them. It is how they operate. If you can get a feel for how competitive they are, when you ask them why it didn't work out at the last spot, I want to see that response. Like, a lot of times, if you're blaming other people, then it might not be the fit, because then it's going to be someone else's fault once you get here. But, to be able to identify, hey, what did I do well there? What did I not do well there? And to have the right, questions through that process, I think was really important. Again, nothing's a guarantee, but we're just trying to fight for the best odds of success. We're trying to increase our odds of success based on our criteria and what we're looking for. And a lot of it, man, is you get a feel for it. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't feel good about it. And we have that right. And that's the reality of sports, especially football. There's so much subjectivity to football. He's good. Okay, according to who? Oh, me. Okay, what? So that's the interesting part, versus track where you're very, objective. It is what it is. So, but that was part of our process. And I can't say I can pinpoint it, because if I did, I'd write a book on it. But being a competitor, how they talk to their parents, how they operated within the building, the conversations with AT, all of those things came back around. And there was, again, some guys that were, no, we're good here. We're good here because of a meeting with so-and-so. And that was, I think, the best way to go about it.
Coach, the NFL has transformed into a quarterback-driven league. Is college morphing to the same thing where you've got to have that special guy to be a consistent winner?
Well, I think that, the game of college is definitely different than the NFL. I think that, you can see guys in the college world, be erasers, if you will, or make things work at a certain level. I think, frankly, you probably have more value at times at the running back position. I think the running back position can actually provide more value in college football, just making your O-line better. Compared to quarterbacks, I think that's different in the NFL. Obviously, the NFL is like a protected league, right? You can't touch the quarterback without getting a penalty. You can't touch a wideout without it being a holding. So it's definitely a different game. I would say anytime you have veteranness, though, is really what's changed in college. I think that college, there is a lot of players that play that are working to be elite, and I think in the NFL you have elite players. So there is a lot of guys that are going to play in the NFL that are playing against guys that are not going to play in the NFL. So the transparency of talent is really different in college, especially from an age standpoint, right? I mean, if you're 18 years old and you're playing quarterback potentially as a freshman, you could be going against a guy that's 23. Like, that's wild. And people think that, a year is a vast different, right, for players. I mean, I see it in my son, he's 8. When he gets to 9, every year I'm like, holy God, the amount of difference that is, these guys are experiencing it now. So I guess my point is, quarterback play is obviously the most important play in football. I mean, that's my take. I think that, he touches the ball every game. The ball security is avidly known as a huge part of the game. So the ability to take care of that game. But to say that you have to have, a top 10 guy to go, win enough games, I don't necessarily know if that's true. It's still the best game. It's still the best team sport in America. And I think that you can do a really good job being a really good college football player and be a really good team, and still maybe don't have, like, quote unquote, the best players, in the country per se. Defensively, especially, offensively, You definitely want some veteranness. I think it's a little different. I'm rambling a little bit in my head because I'm thinking about this. Like, I think it's obviously very, very important, but I don't think it's necessarily as important as it is in the NFL. I'll go with that. Could be wrong.
When it comes to those quarterbacks, you mentioned the competition. What's your thought on when you want to have a hierarchy, when you want to have a guy, and is there a timetable in your mind?
Yeah, I haven't given enough thought to that. I would say, you want to be at some point getting prepped and ready for game one, right? If there's a true competition. I mean, to be honest, if we're competing and someone takes over and is very clear on who is the guy, well, then we're going to move forward and keep rolling. If we feel like that's not the case, then we're going to compete. We're not going to hand anything out. So, but I would say that the worst, the last point I would think would be like those last couple weeks in camp, getting ready for game one. You really want to be established and kind of working, that way to game one. I would say by mid-camp, you like to be in a spot where you kind of want to pick a guy.
And you mentioned Josh Aldridge.
Yes.
Obviously, the numbers are impressive. What is it about this guy that has allowed him to have such success as the DC?
I think he's really clear on expectations. I think he sets a standard of operation, how you want to operate. He seems very organized. Got an opportunity to see these guys, just in their meetings and how they talk. That's really, really important. I think he's done a really good job maximizing what the current players do. I think that he's excited about the opportunity potentially to have even better players here at USF and to be able to use what they're great at in his schemes. So he's really maximized what players are capable of. And I think he's done that at other places. Exposure to top-end football, does a really good job communicating, making it clean right now. And I think the path we're on shows good signs. Now, still haven't done it yet. So he's done it in the past. Look forward to that. But I think how clear he is, the expectations, and the consistency he operates is a good reason why he's probably pretty successful.
When it comes to signing day, it feels like the February period we're in right now. It's kind of lost some of its luster. A lot more players signing that early December period. Through your time at Ohio State and here at USF, what's the biggest difference you've noticed in those young guys that are, let's say, enrolling in that early period as opposed to waiting until the February period?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that just in general, I think that, the opportunity to come in mid-year is really an advantage. Now, I would never be a coach that wants to push guys to do either or because I don't want them to regret whatever decision they make. They have to live with it. So if you're a big track guy and you love track and you don't want to leave school early because you want to run track. Just know, to comprehend the fact that you're probably going to be at least a half a year to a year behind. Because by the time you get in, you're going to learn some things in June and in July, but then you're hitting camp. And it's really hard to earn a job in camp when guys have been working since January, had an off season, went through spring ball, earned some jobs, and now you show up in June. There's no real time to compete, so you really have 2 weeks to steal a job. That's hard to do. I'm not saying it can't happen, but that's hard to do. And then to frankly get through your season, and then you get to spring again, and it's still the first time he's done spring. So it's like, you haven't even gone a year yet, and yet you're trying to now be a starter in next spring. It's like, well, so the advantage you have coming in mid-year is really substantial. Guarantees you nothing, but gives you your best chance to try to find a role on the field through that offseason. That's the biggest thing. I can't say anything more, nothing less. Just know that's this last second signing period probably allows guys with coaching changes to kind of make sure that's where they want to go. They do lose the opportunity to get in early, but I guess ultimately they don't take the choice of where to go to school to light-hearted, and they want to do what they think is best. I think that like you're saying, it's kind of going by the wayside, but it's still a great opportunity for those that need to apply it.
With 41 transfer players coming in, there might be 41 different answers to this question,
Sure.
but this place has so much to sell with facilities and NIL money and on the upswing. Coach, they're playing for you. Did you hear things, or did things resonate more with some guys that just kept coming up like, wow, I didn't realize that this was going to be the thing that's going to be a driver to get people here?
Oh yeah, so I think everything you mentioned, frankly. I think a lot of those are the reasons why it can be easy to come here. It was our job to kind of kind of come at them and not make it easy to come here, because we do have so much to offer, frankly. And our job is to build the right guys on the field. So we try to live in that world, to be honest. I think that we were not trying to make it too nice, because we don't want nice. We want guys that are grungy, the guys that are tough, and the guys that want to be in that fight. And so that's really important. I think them understanding that everything they want to accomplish can be accomplished here, that was really important. I think the understanding the facilities from a medical rehabilitation, taking care of your body, cold plunges and cryo, everything is here and top notch. I think that's really important for the guys that are chasing, championships here and then potentially the NFL, right? They want to maximize what God's blessed them with. Academically, seeing where that was at was really impressive. Done a really good job here. That must maintain. So there's a lot of excitement. I think that the conversation of my past and how that applies moving forward, I think was exciting. I think meeting with Rob Higgins and having him be around and his overall vision was exciting. The alignment, top down, was exciting. There's a lot of things to be excited for. So we want to do a really good job making sure we were very transparent on how we're going to operate here and how hard we're going to be on trying to chase our goals. And we wanted the guys that wanted that, and not just a new facility, sunny weather, I like Coach Hartline because he's a former player, whatever that is. We wanted to find reasons how it was going to be hard, but they wanted hard.
So back in the day when you were judging a college football team, around this time, 14 returning starters, your quarterback's back, you got them on the board. Now it's different. Do you even have a concept of how good you can be yet, or is that just things you got to discover in the spring and moving forward?
Do I have a concept of that? I think we're on the right path, building the right type of culture you need to be good on the football field. So that's all I know right now. I think that outside of that, again, like mentality and culture, again, I know that word's thrown out a lot, but just how you operate, right? That's your culture. How you operate, how you handle tough times. Like that is, without it, teams are not maximized, right? So we've identified that it's a very, very important piece of the equation. If you think you can do it without it, you're going to be sadly mistaken. So ultimately, those that have the best culture, standards, operation, character, better maximize what they're capable of than anybody else either. So again, we're identifying how important it is. We're on a hard path to create an elite environment for maximizing individuals. And I think we're on a good start. A lot of work to do.
Anything else, Coach? Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for not going through the 41 guys and making me list each one and everything else. That would have been
Heck of a memory test.
exactly right. Exactly right. Appreciate it, guys.
Coach, thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Appreciate it.